Good afternoon, and welcome to Core Technology Conversations, brought to you by the Research Cores in the Division of Research at Florida Atlantic University. My name is Thomas Graziano, and I'm the Director of the Research Cores, and I will be your moderator for today. Research Cores are federally compliant, fee-for-service shared resources that provide access to instruments, technologies, as well as expert consultation and other services to scientific and clinical investigators. Currently, FAU has 7 active cores: the Biostatistics Collaborative Core, the Cell Imaging Core, the Clinical Research Unit, Comparative Medicine, Engineering and Technology Core, the Neurobehavior Core, and the Water Analysis Lab. This seminar series will let you know more about those cores and also give you some information on some of the amazing research resources available here at FAU. Today's presentation will be by Tricia Meredith. Tricia currently serves as the director for the A.D. Henderson University School and FAU High School. She designed and implemented the innovative FAU High School research program that provides a support system with faculty mentoring and research skills, enabling students to produce publication-worthy research projects. Today, we will learn about this amazing program and how it can help advance your research. With that, it is my pleasure to introduce Tricia Meredith.
Thanks so much. I'm going to share screen. So I'm going to talk today about how FAU's on-site lab school can support your research. And hopefully there will be ways that I share that may surprise you or you may not know about, including what Tom just mentioned with our FAU High School research program. So first, just a little bit of background. If you don't know, on the east side of campus is your very own on-site lab school, A.D. Henderson University School and FAU High School. And we are a public K-12 school on FAU's campus, both in Boca Raton, but also in Jupiter in partnership with Max Planck. And we operate under the auspices of the state university system, and we're part of the College of Education. As a lab school, we're a bit different than the normal K-12 school. Part of our mission is to engage in research. So I'm going to talk to you about how we do that and how that can interact with what you're doing. So first, I have to introduce the entire team. So this is a giant group effort of amazing research professionals. They're all research principal investigators themselves and are a part of this team overseeing these initiatives that I'll share with you. So I serve as the director. We have Jasmine Coyle, Alexandra Lolavar, Amy Tift, Jen Krill, all helping with the administration of the program and teaching different courses at the university for our students, and Jamie Knobb, who's actually here with me now, who helps in the imaging lab, which I'll talk to you more about. Okay, so I mentioned as a lab school that we have this focus on research, which makes us kind of unique compared to other K-12 schools. So just to kind of explain that a little bit more, here are the main areas that we focus on in terms of research. So like Tom said, we have a research program for FAU high school students, but they're not your typical high school students. So they're early college students, and we help them get engaged in the undergraduate research activities happening at the university. We also have an imaging lab. We help researchers focus on educational research, psychological research, and do their outreach in our school. So taking that concept of lab school kind of literally, we're kind of your lab. We also have a comprehensive educator research program, and you'll be able to hear about how you can partner with our teachers in our school on research. And all of these research initiatives are run by a team of researchers. And my research area is shark olfaction, but we all have our different research areas, and we serve as affiliate faculty in various departments and colleges at the university, especially in our home college, the College of Education. Okay, so I'm going to take these one by one and sort of explain a little bit more why you may care about these and how they can support faculty research. So first, this research program for early college FAU high school students. To explain a little bit more why FAU high school students are a bit unique compared to your average high school student, it starts with our program. So students take a rigorous college prep 9th grade year here in the high school building where I am now. And then immediately after 9th grade, they start college full-time at FAU. So they're just early college students. And since they're starting their college career a full 3 years earlier than the average person, we also want them to get engaged in those important intensive co-curricular activities like undergraduate research. And these students earn up to 3 years worth of college credits typically by the time they graduate high school, and occasionally they even graduate college a little bit before high school. So before I talk about how we help them in undergraduate research, I have to acknowledge that FAU is amazing in the fact that we have a big dedicated effort, a whole platform dedicated to undergraduate research. Of course, there's the amazing Office of Undergraduate Research and Inquiry, and that whole staff that has helped develop this infrastructure at the university to support all of our undergraduate students in undergraduate research. So they have programs such as grants, their presentation opportunities at 3 of the campuses. There are publication opportunities and much, much more for students. There are even resources for faculty. And I have to say this as one of the faculty liaisons for OURI. There are faculty liaisons in every single college at FAU there to support faculty in helping them get involved in the undergraduate research efforts. There's a big push, especially lately, to get undergraduate research integrated into the curriculum, either through research intensive designation, directed independent research, also known as DIR, and the brand new, and I'm so excited to be able to mention this, research certificate program. So I have all of these hyperlinks so you can read more about them, and I'll be sharing these links after the presentation when my friends at the Division of Research are able to post this information. Okay, so on top of that amazing foundation that our university has, we also build in an extra layer of support for our, yes, exceptionally young undergraduate researchers, which consists of a series of university courses, plus individualized mentoring to help them on their undergraduate research path. We run these courses, they're university courses, in the College of Education, in the Department of Ed Leadership and Research Methodology. And also we have 1 or 2 courses in the College of Science. 3 of them are research intensive, like I just talked to you about, one way to sort of formalize this in the curriculum. And we were able to, before COVID, pilot the idea of research abroad for these exceptionally talented yet young students. We took several of them to the Galapagos Islands to conduct a research project looking at sea lion behavior, and we're working on that publication now. These courses that I mentioned, these research methodology courses, help students to learn how to work with the research literature, write grant proposals, learn to present their results. Similar things that are happening in many of the honors thesis programs around campus, but we do it with this very specific population in a way that's tailored to them. And it also is a multidisciplinary approach as compared to the honors thesis programs, which are very discipline specific. So in addition to the benefits to all undergraduates in engaging in programs like this, our students involved in this program, there are benefits to the faculty to working with them. So this program really effectively prepares students to start research. It serves as a source of talented research-ready undergraduates. They're great for graduate programs recruitment, so keep an eye on these students when you see them. And we hope that these efforts help to alleviate some of the mentoring load because we're teaching common research skills like how to work with the research literature. We're basically serving as an additional faculty research mentor so that the students can be a contributing member of the lab kind of sooner. So for example, in the Research Methods 2 class, we teach them how to apply for the undergraduate research grant, which is one of the grant programs run by the Office of Undergraduate Research. And we help to guide them through this process of what is a grant? Why would you even need one? What are the components? How do you write it? How do you match it with the grant guidelines? And then we edit it kind of in-house. They do peer edits, they get edits from us. And then all of that happens before they come to the mentor so that they've got a pretty good draft before the PI gets their hands on it. And hopefully things can move a little bit quicker from there with the mentor just giving sort of technical support. I also want to mention, because they are high school students, I get a lot of questions about whether there are any considerations with having minors doing research. And FAU high school students are unique in this way, again, because they are subject to some of the policies at our university, like the environmental health and safety policy, Again, I have these links here, which I will share with you later, where if they're working in hazardous conditions or working with animals, that all of those things are articulated by the PI, and the form is co-signed by the parent, the student, and then submitted to EH&S for approval. There's an IACUC policy if the students are working with vertebrate animals. Essentially, they're not allowed in the vivarium, but there is some ability for them to do research with animal subjects. And we do get questions quite a bit about, if PIs want to hire our students as kind of research assistants, if they're able to provide a little bit of a stipend, which is always so nice. When they go to HR, sometimes there's this question of whether everybody who's supervising them needs a level 2 background check, which can sometimes freak people out. But I want to let you know that FAU high school students are FAU students because they are enrolled in FAU classes full-time, and they are not subject to that level 2 background check requirement. Okay, so this program's been going for about 6 years, and I just want to share with you that it's working. Just so in case you're curious and you want to work with one of our students, you know that this is a quality program backing them. 59 of our students have co-authored peer-reviewed publications in top-level journals, including the New England Journal of Medicine, the International Journal of Oncology, Neuropharmacology. A lot of them are STEM students. They've won 204 research grants for over $200,000. And that's a part of that Research Methods 2 class that I mentioned to you. They've given over 300 presentations, not only at our university's own undergraduate research symposium hosted by OURI, as well as the Jupiter and the Davies Symposium, but also national discipline-specific conferences. And here, looking at this little example list, you can see the multidisciplinary nature of our students' interests in research. So they present at the International Conference for the Fantastic and the Arts, Criminal Justice Sciences Annual Meeting, International Narcotics Research Conference, and other science conferences as well. Okay, so that is sort of the first research area that I wanted to share with you, that we have this group of kind of unique students with an extra layer of support that are a resource for you if you want to work with them. We also have a really cool imaging lab in the high school that I'm sitting in right now. It's called the FAU High School Imaging Lab. And these are pictures from the lab. And it serves sort of as a core facility, which is why I'm here. Tom was gracious enough to invite me to present, even though we're a little out of the ordinary and being categorized as a core facility. And I'll explain why. So this is meant to be a hub where not only, do I conduct research here as a PI, but we have collaborators coming in working on lots of different projects on the equipment in here. And all faculty at the university have the ability to do that. And they can have free access to the equipment when they provide mentorship or outreach. So in a typical core facility model, you are paying a fee to use the equipment, you're building that into your grant. Here, we're really asking for your time and your expertise to mentor our undergraduate researchers or do outreach in some of our other classrooms. So you can give a talk to the 5th graders if you want. Here are some of the equipment available in the lab for you to use. We have a micro CT scanner, and basically that, if you've ever had a CAT scan, it operates the same. So it takes essentially a 3D X-ray of whatever specimen you put in there. We have a scanning electron microscope, which provides very high magnification surface topography images. So magnification up to 60,000x. We have a whole histology suite if you want to thin slice tissue and mount it on slides. And then we also have a fluorescence microscope for viewing those slides. I want to just give you a few examples of some of the collaborations we have going with faculty already. Both mainly in the colleges of engineering and science, we've had collaborators come in. We've imaged Kevlar, we've imaged bicephalic sea turtles, so 2-headed sea turtle embryos. That was recently published in the Journal of Morphology. And these images, all these images that you see here are taken either with the electron microscope or the micro CT scanner in this lab. We have imaged concrete for College of Engineering faculty. We have imaged citrus tissue that is infected with citrus greening disease. And that study was also published not too long ago in a scientific journal. So aside from very high level scientific research, publication worthy images, we also have the ability, because we're physically located in this awesome K-12 school, to really easily engage with the pre-kindergarten through 8th grade students and expose them to lots of cool science. So not just the equipment, but sort of supplementing their science lessons. And a lot of you who apply for NSF grants know that this is a part of the broader impact section that you often have to write. And all of these pictures are kids visiting the lab for their science experiences. So here's an example of what I mean. Students can take field trips inside their own school to the lab, and we're doing this constantly. They're also able to take virtual field trips through this virtual lab that I'm going to show you in a moment that was developed in partnership with COCE. Thank you to them. And in this lab, we can help to reinforce key points covered in the science curriculum by partnering with teachers. And I'm going to talk more about that in a moment. So they get to interact with scientists, they get hands-on experience with this very high-tech equipment. You know, you saw on that previous slide, we had literally a pre-K student moving around the stage of an electron microscope, looking at a bug that he was so curious about. And there's nothing that can really replace that experience. So I'm going to exit out of my presentation just for a moment to show you this virtual lab so that you can take a little tour of this area that I'm in. So hopefully you can see this. All right, so I'm actually sitting right here. You can see the histology equipment is right there. We've got the fluorescence scope here. There's a chemical fume hood. If we look over to the right, you can see the micro CT scanner where we do those 3-dimensional x-rays. We have other basic lab equipment like an autoclave, pH meter, all of that good stuff. And then around this side to my left is the electron microscope and some of the specimen preparation equipment like the critical point dryer and the sputter coater. Okay, back to the presentation. All right, so the third area of our research initiatives has to do with doing educational research or and outreach. So really, like I said, using that term laboratory school literally. So if we are the university's laboratory and you can do research here, we could be our students, our faculty, our administrators, our parents, maybe the research subjects for a study, or maybe the participants in an outreach project. So when it comes to educational research or psychology research and outreach in our school, we have a whole committee called the OPK12 Research Committee that is dedicated to kind of shepherding you through this process. From the beginning, establishing the collaboration with us, we will walk you through it. All you have to do is start with an email, very easy, and we'll take you step by step through reviewing your request and assessing the fit based on our mission, and then providing letters of collaboration. So whether you're applying for, you're submitting your IRB protocol and want a letter of collaboration, or you're applying for a grant and want a letter of collaboration for that, we write letters constantly for those. Then we'll help to coordinate the outreach or research activities. And the neat thing about being a lab school is that we really care about making sure that we close that loop and communicate the findings of whatever research study has been conducted back to the participants, back to that school community, so they can know how their participation made a difference in kind of the research world. I want to share with you the different collaborators that we've had over the past handful of years. So several colleges represented here and many departments within those colleges. Of course, our own College of Education partners with us quite frequently, no surprise there. But we're also writing a lot of letters of collaboration for career grants and other NSF grants for science and for engineering. So how we can help, if you're interested in partnering with us in this way, you would really want to visit our website, and it's going to show you this handy diagram, which I know is a lot, but basically there's 2 paths. If you're interested in partnering with us on a grant, you follow the first path. If you want to propose a research study, you follow the second path. And they both start with this quick intake form that collects some basic information from you to get the process started. It's called the Request to Collaborate form. But we will help you with, like I said, everything from getting the ball rolling to implementing the project to communicating back to our school. And the projects that we have collaborated on so far have resulted in 27 publications since 2007. Okay, the last big component, a part of our research initiatives, is the Comprehensive Educator Research Program. So this is where I'm going to talk to you about partnering with our teachers. So we've got this amazing faculty and staff that work at your lab school. And because of our focus on research, we make sure that the faculty and staff is also engaged in research. So whether they are, have their doctorate and are conducting research projects already, or they're in a graduate program at FAU, or they're interested in classroom-based research, or interested in collaborating with a faculty member at the university to join in on their research project, sort of everything in between. We have this program and this sort of infrastructure to help build their skill and help them make connections with faculty in the research process. So we've got this great resource for you of K through 12 experts in their field that are ready to partner with you and have the support behind them. And that program's been going since 2017, and our faculty and staff have published 19 peer-reviewed articles so far. We have started to narrow our own research focus in these 5 areas, so please take a look. So we're very focused on social emotional learning and competency, of course, curriculum models, diversity expansion, student supports, and predictability models and analytics. And you can probably imagine that this could span many different colleges and many different faculty areas of research across our university. So if any of these pique your interest, please reach out to me. Okay, last thing I want to share with you is what's next. And this is a really big area where we want to collaborate with the faculty at FAU. So as you may or may not know, we are undergoing a massive construction project currently. So right outside my window, there are bulldozers and heavy machinery kind of getting the foundation ready for what's going to be the new building here at AD Henderson and FAU High School. So that construction will last this whole academic year. That's called phase 1. And then after that, once all of the K through 8 students move into that building, we'll transition to phase 2 of our kind of facility reimagining. And part of phase 2 will be to really expand this imaging lab that I just talked to you about, using the model we already have and really deepening and expanding our connection with the university. And we're calling that space right now the Institute for Biodesign. And I hope you like this kind of space age lab picture. It is a source of inspiration for us. We want to build this into a beautiful, functional, high-tech lab for biodesign. So just to reiterate sort of the model that I'm talking about that we're going to use. Right now, we have strategically chosen pieces of equipment like the micro CT scanner and the electron microscope that are not redundant with things that you find at the rest of the university. There's not a ton of SEMs around FAU. There are no other micro CT scanners. So we're providing something that is a need. And these are flexible pieces of equipment that can be used for a huge variety of projects. And they're all kind of unified by a scientific theme of imaging. This lab is also centered around the expertise of university faculty. So we already knew before we chose these pieces of equipment that many faculty would be interested in using them for a variety of different projects and could lend their expertise, their technical expertise, and actually using the equipment and training students to use it and providing awesome graduate assistants that are collecting their dissertation data on that equipment and can provide their expertise as well. Also, of course, we have faculty coming in to provide mentorship and outreach in exchange for access to the equipment. And we have students in the lab. So not only our FAU High School undergraduate researchers, like I told you about earlier, but also our K through 9 students coming in with their class for curriculum related activities. So when we think about that model and scaling up into a space that's almost 7 times as large as we have now, we want to expand on this model. So of course, we're interested in incorporating more types of research. So we'll call these our scientific themes, and increasing the breadth and depth of faculty collaboration. It will be organized around the theme of biodesign. And so I want to clarify what I mean by biodesign. So it's basically where biology meets engineering. And it is an approach to understanding and solving issues that are relevant to the state of Florida. It's a really flexible, broadly encompassing term that can include lots of different types of projects and applications, and I'll go into that in a bit, and really emphasizes an integrative approach. So some applications of biodesign projects can include things like imaging, of course, which we're doing now. So example would be generating image-based data of materials and biological specimens. Bio-inspired design. So for example, these are examples also from some of our faculty collaborators, just to kind of illustrate what I mean by biodesign. So one example here would be using lionfish spines to inspire hypodermic needle design. Also genetic engineering. So we want to move into work with RNA and DNA. And some of our students are working with faculty now using CRISPR and also other techniques to genetically modify plants for lots of reasons. So one example would be to deter pests, especially for economically important species. Bioengineering is a very broad field, but one example here is printing, editing, testing models of structures that we CT scan. Neural data science can fit under this umbrella, and we, with FAU's big focus on data science, as well as our partnership with Max Planck up on the Jupiter campus, we want to make sure that we bring that down to Boca as well and have a nice high performance computing core for our students to do machine learning projects on image-based neuro data sets. Environmental engineering could fall under this umbrella, with an example being water quality studies, which of course water quality we know is a huge thing in Florida. It relates to human health and it relates to ecosystem health. And also ecology and conservation projects. So we have our partners at Pine Jog who are able to, in their orchid propagation lab, take native endangered orchid species and propagate them beyond what you would see in nature. So these orchids have seed pods with thousands, probably more seeds in them. And in nature, maybe only a handful would germinate, but in the lab, in sterile conditions, you can get like thousands of them to germinate. So you can really have an impact on a species and its restoration. So in thinking about those applications, I bring it now down to, distill it down to these scientific themes of focus for the biodesign lab. And this is focused on the different techniques and equipment that you might find in this lab and the areas of expertise of the faculty at FAU. So these are the ways that we think that we can partner with you. So of course we have imaging and histology happening now. We want to get the equipment and move into partnering with people on RNA and DNA analysis. We want to have an area of the lab dedicated to invertebrate electrophysiology. So that can be Drosophila or C. elegans. We want to have a high performance computing lab, like I mentioned, for the neural data science. We want a cell and tissue culture area that can accommodate things like orchid propagation, but also cell culture with that aseptic environment, and an area for water quality analysis with things like flow through spectrophotometer. And I just want to mention, although hopefully it's apparent, that these things were selected not only to align with the expertise of the faculty at FAU, but also with state priorities, the problems that Florida is facing, and the FAU strategic plan. So there are lots of potential links, current and potential links to the pillars. And of course, the platform of undergraduate research is near and dear to our heart, as well as the data analytics. So we hope that that gives people even more of a reason to join up with us to help to fix Florida's problems and mentor these students so that they are qualified for all of these jobs. Okay, so in wrapping up, just to summarize, I know I threw a lot at you, lots of different components of research here at the lab school, but distilling it down to ways that you can connect with us. If any of these piqued your interest, short answer is please reach out to me. My email address is on the next slide. So you can connect with us by coming into the imaging lab and collecting data. You can mentor one of the FAU high school students as an undergraduate researcher and know that they've got that extra layer of support and are plugging into the university undergraduate research platform. You may request a letter of collaboration for a grant or for an IRB protocol. You can partner with us on a grant proposal. You can create an outreach activity in our school. You should partner with our teachers. They are amazing experts in their fields. And we'd love to have you come for a tour of our school once COVID calms down a little bit, hopefully. And think about that biodesign lab project. And if you're interested at all in helping us to select the pieces of equipment or design that lab space or becoming one of our close collaborators in that space, I would love for you to reach out. And just a note on timeline. So I mentioned this academic year, we're doing phase 1 of construction. Once that completes, if things stay on track, then we'll begin construction on phase 2, that lab, next academic year. So we're really in the planning phase right now and want to hear from you if you want to partner with us on this. So last, I just want to thank you for your time, and I will be happy to take any questions. I think Tom is going to help moderate. You can reach out to me. I just realized my email address is wrong, so I'm going to fix that. It's tmeredi1@fau.edu. You can email the imaging lab if you want to come in to schedule time to work on the equipment. You can access our website to propose a research study in our school, and we're on social media if you want to follow us at FAUHS_research. And I will leave you with a few photos of our students in their research element, and we can take questions. So thank you.
That was a great presentation, and the experience that those students are getting is amazing. I didn't even know that existed really here on this campus, so it's really cool to see them getting that hands-on experience that early in age. So very, very cool stuff. I just wanted to give a reminder to everyone, if you have any questions for Tricia, there's a Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. Let's go ahead and click that, type in anything you want to ask, and of course we'll have her answer. Let me take a look and see if we got any questions here for you. So here we go. Got a first question for you. Are you planning on implementing more VR technology where you do not need actual equipment or space, but where you virtually perform experiments similar to ASU's collaboration with Dreamscape?
Oh, that's a cool question. I need to look at the ASU Dreamscape thing because I'm not well versed in what that is, but I would say yes is the short answer in 2 ways. So to answer the question literally, one way that you can work in our lab is by connecting through a program called TeamViewer that we use. So this is a freely available program that lots of people can use where you can gain a secure remote connection to another computer. So basically we connect with you and you're off at your home, and you can control the machinery and can collect data remotely. So as long as we have somebody here, like our technician, Jamie, or myself, or Alex Lolavar, we can load your specimen into the CT scanner or the electron microscope, and then we can give you kind of the reins to take over remotely because everything else happens on the computer. So you can actually do like physical data collection remotely in our lab through TeamViewer. And then another way to think about this is using like virtual reality systems to provide people a lab experience. So right now we're really using this in an educational sense to provide a really immersive, engaging experience. And of course you can, put on a VR headset and you could like download a skeleton of a person. But the cool part about what we're doing here, and actually James working on it right this moment, is we're taking our CT scans from our scanner. So like the skeleton of a sea turtle or the cartilaginous chondrocranium of a shark, and putting that in a VR environment. And then kids are getting to kind of fly through a lizard skeleton and their reactions are just beyond. So talk about engaging science activities. But I do appreciate the heads up about the ASU program, and I'll check into that. Thank you.
Thanks. Let's see what we got next. Are any programs or collaborations available through the Jupiter campus or at Harbor Branch?
So yes and yes. So we have the FAU High School Jupiter program, which launched last fall. So we have a cohort of 2 cohorts right now of students that are in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, high school wise, but they are at the university as freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors up at the Wilkes Honors College. And they, while in Boca at our program here, it's optional for students to engage in undergraduate research. It's built in as a required component to the Jupiter program. So they're all looking for research mentors and to work on research projects, whether that's up at Jupiter or remotely or even in person in Boca or Davie or Harbor Branch. And we are just sort of pioneering our partnership with Harbor Branch thanks to Jordan Beckler. We wrote a letter of collaboration for his NASA grant that got funded. And we are so excited that he got that grant and he was able to provide some opportunities for our students to work with him on that project. So I think they're just like going through the onboarding process now, and he's working with 2 of them. But I think that minors in research kind of concept came up where people thought that they needed to have level 2 background checks for everybody that oversaw them, which was really getting in the way. And now that we've cleared that barrier, Harbor Branch is starting to get on board with welcoming our students, which is so great. But we're really hoping that this kind of blossoms into even more of a collaboration. Now, when it comes to the imaging lab, of course, we're like physically located here. So if you want to collect data through TeamViewer or you want to hand off a sample and we'll scan it and then send you the data, we can always do those things as well. I know it's a little bit more difficult, but if you have something in mind, please reach out and we will do what we can to partner.
Perfect. Here's another one for you. Actually, similar question. Are you currently doing any projects with the College of Nursing?
Yeah, I wish we were, but we don't have anything going on in the College of Nursing at the moment. I think that they, work really hard to embed undergraduate research into their curriculum. And we have lots of FAUHS students that are in their program. So I think in a way, in a way that I'm just not like strictly a part of, our students are a part of the College of Nursing and thriving in their programs and participating in nursing related research with them. But if anybody has ideas of ways we can partner more, we would really be interested in that.
Excellent, great. Let's see, got another one here for you. How can FAU postdocs work with you, or can they also?
Yeah, I meant to mention this actually. So there are a bunch of ways, and I'm sure you can imagine more than I'll mention here, but if you're interested in mentoring one of our students as an undergraduate researcher, we would be excited about that. If you are looking to get some teaching or mentoring experience, as a part of your professional development, as you build toward becoming somebody that can go on like the tenure track job market, and you want to have your CV reflecting not only your research experience, but your kind of teaching and education experience, we can really help with that. And we've had postdocs kind of push into our neurophysiology lab that Dr. Jen Krill teaches in a way that it's not like a semester long commitment necessarily, but they come in and they help sort of students in their project design. So they learned neurophysiology techniques and then they created independent projects, and the postdocs sort of served as temporary mentors in helping them think about the logistics of the project design and are they answering their question? Do you have the proper controls? What are your questions in troubleshooting the equipment? So we can really be creative in the ways that we help in your professional development and working with our school population. And then of course the imaging lab is here if you want to collect data. Of course, there's just the outreach or mentorship component to that, and we can be also very flexible and creative in how we make sure that that works for you. And if you're interested in partnering on the biodesign lab, please get in contact. So yeah, lots of ways.
Very cool. Let's see, we've got another one here for you. Actually, this kind of piggybacks on the Harbor Branch question. Someone said there is a high school at Harbor Branch, and they wanted to know if they were part of your program.
Yeah, I recently learned about the high school at Harbor Branch, and they are not a part of our program. So I don't know much about that school, but it's nice that because Harbor Branch is, is so far north, they kind of have lots of stuff going on up there, but they are a part of the FAU family. And so it's really nice that our students have access to those amazing faculty in that facility.
Great. Got another one for you. Do you also offer high-tech manufacturing equipment with the same access model of mentorship or outreach?
Yes, we do. So I didn't really go over this, but we have another similarly well-equipped lab just on the other side of that wall called the Kane Institute. And it's kind of like a fancy maker space. Lots of 3D printing equipment, including a very large resin 3D printer that prints wax supports for intricate structures, and those wax supports melt away post-production. There's a laser cutter, there's a wazer, a CNC mill. I forgot to mention that. That's a big one. So lots of like manufacturing and prototyping equipment. And yes, if you're interested in using it and you're okay with doing outreach or mentorship of our students, we would really love to partner with you.
Excellent. Cool.
And Alan Phipps oversees that lab. So I'm happy to connect you with him, and he'll assist in that collaboration.
Perfect. Cool. Thank you. Got another one for you. Can FAU faculty or grad students use your equipment, or is it only operated by teachers and students?
Oh, absolutely. You can come into the lab and operate the equipment. So we would book your appointment, you would come in, you would receive some kind of, training as, related to your experience level. Maybe you're an expert, maybe you're a total novice or somewhere in between.
Mm-hmm.
And then, when you're ready to kind of go solo, then we would always be here to answer questions or troubleshoot if there was any issues with the machine. But you can be the one physically collecting the data. What often happens is that faculty will come in sort of for the tour, bring their grad students with them, and then the grad students will be the one to come back, often with another, like an undergrad, like an FAU high student with them, and they'll be the ones kind of on the ground collecting the data and bringing it back to the PI.
Great, cool. Let's see here. Here's another one. Are you considering also making your services like a traditional core fee for service, or do you plan on keeping the mentoring model at the moment?
That's hard to say. For now, we're going to keep it how it is. I think it's a huge benefit to students.
I think so too.
Yeah, and it's really working out nicely. So I don't know what the future will bring, especially as we scale up this lab by a lot. So, I hope that we're able to continue to help students and faculty connect in this way and get that mentorship.
Excellent. Let me see if we got anything else here. Well, somebody was asking what equipment was available at the Jupiter High School. But I think did you go over that in your list, or was that something separate?
I know I threw a lot of details at you,
Yeah.
so I apologize for that. But at the Jupiter High School, we actually, we collaboratively use one of the teaching labs for the neurophysiology course. So there are neurophysiology rigs up there that we share with the rest of the Jupiter campus kind of science community. That's not our lab per se, but it is a lab that one of our professors operates in and mentors students on projects. The rest of the equipment is located here in Boca in the imaging lab, and that's the micro CT scanner, electron microscope, histology suite, fluorescence scope, and other ancillary smaller equipment. And I'll make sure that my presentation is made available with that list of equipment. And I think, Tom, our little bubble on your website is going to go live not too long from now, and we'll have a list of the equipment there as well.
Absolutely, yes. We are going to add your information directly to the Research Corps' website as well. And if you go there, you're able to click on it. It'll take you directly to their site. There's great videos on the imaging lab and all the information, of course. And of course, we'll be putting this recorded presentation on the site as well. So people will have access to it. So that'll be fun. That'll be good. Here's another one. Is access to the labs constrained by academic or classroom schedules, or can PIs expect to schedule access use for externally sponsored projects for deliverables when needed? So basically, can they use the lab outside of the classroom schedule, or are there certain time constraints?
So we don't have classes being held in the lab currently. In the Kane Institute, because of construction specifically, there are some classes temporarily being held in the Kane Institute, but here so far we don't. So really we just have the lab schedule to worry about. And if we don't have another group booked, we had all of second grade came in shifts last week. So as long as it doesn't conflict with that, or another researcher using that same piece of equipment, then we're able to schedule researchers to come into the lab during basically normal business hours.
And That's it for the questions. That's all we had. So everybody here, if you have any questions maybe you thought about after we end this presentation, please feel free to reach out to Tricia directly. You can even reach out to the research cores and I can relay your question to her as well. And that's all we have. And I can't wait to see the new building when it's built and the next steps you're taking in the program. It's very, very cool, I gotta say. So thank you so much for presenting today. It was awesome.
Thanks,
You did a good job.
And thank you, everybody.
Great. Thank you everyone for attending, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much.